Today in the Spotlight, we introduce a new and interesting contribution to the dance scene right here in Rochester, the Rochester Dance Theater. And my guests today are Erika Ruegemer, she is the director and founder of the Dance Theater, and Stephanie Kovac, an instructor and rehearsal director at the Dance Theater of New York,
Yes.
the Dance Theater of Rochester. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm glad you could be in here today.
Yes.
Did I get your name right?
Yes.
Okay, so far so good then. Well, it's interesting to take a new company that sort of combines traditions from your predecessors and create something from the ground up. This has been your labor of love here recently.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
fascinating. So what are the roots of Rochester Dance Theater?
Well, for me personally, it goes back to what was called One Dance Company. It was a group of dancers and artists that in 2011 was our first show, we started to produce performances that were like installation work. Oh. So we would go into a space or create an environment somewhere in an empty space, or go into an environment and like create a world. And sometimes it'd be kind of a pop-up or very planned, and tickets, things like that. So, and then I started to work in the Flower City Ballet studio with Wayne Blatt, and he was really kind of a mentor and a teacher to a lot of us. And so he passed some of his traditions of classical ballet to myself and many others, and Stephanie was actually a student of his when she was younger.
Yep,
So,
since 2008.
yeah, and he passed away in 2016, November, and passed the school along to me and everything that belonged to him. So before he passed, we talked about, you know, I'm not classically trained in ballet. I love ballet, but it's not the only thing I do. And how would you feel if, you know, if passing this thing to me, if it changed the name and if it morphed? So kind of blended One Dance Company and Flower City and figuring out what we are at this time. So
I see.
yeah.
So is it primarily a ballet school?
Ballet and modern. And right now we have classes, but we're also I'm continuing to develop the side of like a company or adults who perform as well. So.
I see. So if people wanted to find out about the company, do you have a website they can go to?
Yeah, we are rdtny.org. RochesterDanceTheater.org was like a little bit long for me, so.
Understood.
Yeah.
Now, are the classes basically at night, or when do they happen?
Yeah, they're at night primarily, and then Saturday mornings to afternoons.
So somebody who's working, for instance, could take classes there?
Yeah.
I see.
Yes.
And what ages do you serve?
I mean, we start from 3 years old, and we have adults that take classes, beginner adults, and, you know, adults that have maybe danced professionally and are trying just to take class just to, you know, keep moving. So, I mean, we don't discriminate. It doesn't matter what level you are. Just come and take class. You know, we just want to dance and fill the room with people who have the same passion.
So you were creating healthy humans and artistic minds.
Yes.
To dance. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's wonderful. So it's about health too, and a holistic lifestyle.
Yeah, I'd say like we want to incorporate that even more, like, you know, mindset, healthy eating, drinking plenty of water, getting rest, all of those things, and how to train healthy as a dancer as well, instead of just pushing your body to these like not realistic limits or things that maybe in 20 years you won't be able to walk anymore. So that already happens over time as a dancer, where you like the wear and tear. So just trying to teach healthy ways of stretching and building muscle and things like that.
It really is athletics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, we are athletes, for sure. And lots of things can, you know, if you get bad habits, then you can get injuries and things like that. So, you know, we also want to have the kids learn at young ages, you know, and also even try to fix some bad habits for current dancers. But, you know, even just sharing with each other the things that we've learned along the way, you know, it kind of helps us to learn exercises that might help, you know, different people with different issues. But we still try and take a focus to each person and see what their strengths and weaknesses are, and you know, not push them the wrong way.
That's
you know, yes.
Yeah. And not pretend that we know everything either. Like, you need to see a doctor about that, or you know.
Yeah, those
like,
moments do come.
Yeah.
Now, did you grow up in the company?
Well, yes, I danced in Rochester all my life growing up, but yeah, I came to Wayne Blatt in 2008. But Erika and I actually didn't really meet until, he started to get sick, and in the transition with everything, because, I went away to college and, started working 2 other jobs too. So, but when I came back into it and she was talking about the reins being switched and everything like that, I said, well, hey, I'll teach.
Oh, okay.
My sister also dances with us, so, we've kind of still been in there, and I was like, definitely excited to pass on my knowledge from what I got from him, but I also still, as an adult dancer, want to perform and do company work.
Right. Oh, yeah,
So,
company work.
Yes, yeah. So, we kind of try and create opportunities for us and other people to join in on and, live their dreams out
Well, if
in
you
a way.
have nightly classes and weekends, for all ages, you must have some other people working with you. Do you have other instructors on your staff?
Well, currently it's the 2 of us, and then we have Joanna Rodriguez, who is like teaching private lessons, and we're building her into that because we're still very small, where we have to, like right now, to be perfectly honest, we don't get our paycheck. We're just building.
That's it.
So
Yeah, and we have one room to share for all of the classes, so.
Well, people will find you, I'm sure.
Yes.
So it's the 2 of us, and then Joanna is definitely there. We have a lot of faithful friends and family in the school and the company that, like I've asked different people to assist with certain things, and so right now it's more volunteer and for the passion of what we do from everybody.
Yeah.
So,
And, that conditioning that dancers develop is very important, especially functional strength and things as people age and things.
Yeah.
So does Ms. Rodriguez work on that, or what's her?
Yeah, she actually, some of her focuses are ballet, improv, and then conditioning is like her other thing. And she likes to zoom in on different details that like sometimes get overlooked, and take more time to really like focus and isolate a certain muscle. Also, Hillary Rosigliano, she's an older student of Wayne's, and she recently got married, so her time is more limited, but she's a PT.
Oh, yes.
And
physical therapist.
And she, so she has expressed wanting to incorporate more of that in the future. So we'll see how that goes, because, married life, you never know where it'll take you. But she, we have a lot of good knowledge for the body and the art in our group.
And it seems as though you're developing a next generation of teachers while you're at it.
Yeah.
Or maybe
definitely.
hopefully professional dancers too, yes.
I see. So is there a learning track and a performance track then?
So that's how it's set up. We're still kind of developing, and because it's really just been since last year.
Yeah.
So there wasn't necessarily Mr. B sat in his chair and taught classical ballet. There wasn't necessarily a layout for here's how you do this, how you run a business, and the timeline for everything. So we're slowly building our way and discovering who we are and exactly what direction we want to go in. But for now, we have our open track and performance track. So open track is like come and take a class or 2 because you want to be recreational. Performance track is like, I want to be more serious about this, even at a young age. And so they're kind of required to take more class.
I see.
And then their they are required to audition for performances, and then are more likely to have certain roles or more roles and things like that.
Right, that's the artistic mind part of your
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the standard fixtures for a dance company is the Nutcracker to music of Tchaikovsky. Are you doing a Nutcracker these days?
No, we didn't do it last year. It was very much a big undertaking. Like 2016, we finished it out. Wayne passed like the month before, and it took everybody coming together to make that happen.
Right.
It's a production that requires so many people backstage as well as on the stage. So we're not in a place to we don't even have necessarily the dancers we would need for that. Like we've brought people in, like past dancers, and so right now we're focusing more on creating new and original work.
Oh, tell me about that.
Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of the process we're in now?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what we try and do with the girls that are taking class more regularly, we try and every spring or, and sometimes in the fall also try and do a performance to get them engaged and have something to work for. So, that's where the auditions come into play, and we kind of try to pick a theme to work with, a piece of music to go off of, and we come up with original choreography. We try and make costumes from scratch somewhat. I mean, we're not so, or Mr. Blatt was. He has tons of sewing machines that we've yet learned to use. But, we try and use our resources that we have and that he gave to us. He blessed us with all of these costumes and fabric and things like that. And so, we're just trying to work that in and trying to also have them incorporate their ideas, their feedback, so it's not all of our choreography even in the pieces. It's also stuff that the girls have made up, that they can express themselves to and just let their imaginations run free. Even the older women that, we still want their input too, and they come up with great ideas. So yeah, I mean, we work with things in class for technical reasons, but we'll also use those moves in the choreography so they feel confident and, and then kind of also turn an artistic, turn to it to turn that movement into maybe an animal or a scene or, even we've done other classical work in the past just trying to use music from, like Faust or things like that, just to get them exposed to the classical music also.
Right.
But then, where can it go now? It's 2018, You don't have to move like that if you don't want to anymore.
Classical ballet is, when, we looked at family movies growing up and whatever, and my sisters were 4 and 5, they're older than I am, they were all in leotards and tights and ballet slippers from the early age, and it seemed like every young girl their age, got that same. Is it still that way for dancers coming up?
I mean, it is good to have kind of a uniform discipline in class. I mean, we do kind of instill that a little bit.
Right.
But I mean, yes, their personalities shine through no matter what they're wearing anyway. So I mean, it is kind of, you try and mix what the traditions, that you feel that worked for you maybe, or, that are good. You try and mix them into the new contemporary way of doing things. But I mean, I don't think we're so strict to I mean, if you're not wearing shoes, you shouldn't be taking class, but, but we also dance barefoot, so.
I was just wondering, did the company come with a building, and where does this training occur?
Like the old company or the old school, or?
Well, you mentioned that you inherited a lot of the assets of the previous dance companies.
It's a rented space in the old Cumberland post office, which is like a giant post office on Cumberland. And so we're still renting the studio and a costume shop.
Oh, I see. And you have ample workout space there.
Yeah, it's a large studio, beautiful open windows to the city. And,
easy access for people in Rochester.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, and the building itself is also filled with tons of other artists, photographers, woodworkers. I mean, there's karate places. So just the foot traffic, you kind of just feel like, you're in the grit.
Things are being produced and created, and crazy smells everywhere.
Let's go to the text. Understood. Now, you mentioned something about creating new work. Is there any cross-interdisciplinary work that you have coming up, for instance?
Well, we are working on a show where we're doing Carnival of the Animals, and then like a new work that is just mostly inspired by the music. It's not like, the theme is about the body, and it's René Aubry, a French composer, who everything that he does is very thematic, and
I see.
so it's I don't know, it inspires me to move and create. But then another project we're working on, which has kind of been a long-term thing, and will probably continue to grow, is we're working with Tom Montagliano. He is a musician who, maybe if you were at the Fringe Festival last year, he had the big igloo. And so he works with like octophonic and currently it's octophonic. It's 8 speakers in a circle, and it's all at this time mostly recorded and electronic that he produces, and then the music travels in a circle around the audience, so the audience is in the middle. So several years ago we did a show called Aqua Texture with him, and I remember him presenting this idea to me. The music that we used was not in the round, but his music is just very meditative, kind of, or just makes you feel good. And it has kind of like an underwater feeling. So that show was about water. This show that we're working on, we're talking about like a ripple effect, and he's working on a lot of other tools like lights and other instruments that maybe the dancer would hold, that they can manipulate the music or where it's being directed.
Yeah.
So he's working on a lot of cool things that when we have our conversation, he's currently not in Rochester.
I see.
So when we talk on the phone about things, we talk about like, okay, well, we have to remember that we're adding new layers and this can continue to grow and build. So we're trying for like the fall to do a performance where the dance would also happen in the middle of that circle. So.
And so it's a spatial piece.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to like what I really love doing. And I love the stage, but I love bringing dance like to the audience and to the people and the viewers. This performance we're talking about, it probably needs to be more intimate, but we would do several performances. So, maybe like 20, 30 people might be able to fit at once. So it just makes it it's very much about the experience. And that would be more our adult dancers and like more professional level.
I see. So it's kind of ambient music and a spatial and very intimate kind of a boutique almost production.
Yeah,
That's
and we're considering doing it in the igloo, which is like a big inflatable igloo that then like it can be lit up very nicely, and it kind of keeps the sound and the acoustics what it needs to be. And so
now tell me about the project with Sarah Rutherford, the muralist.
She is working on a project called Her Voice Carries.
Her Voice Carries.
Yes, and this is, she kind of found the story of women from different parts of Rochester, and she drew their face, she painted their face, and then painted a mural of them as well, but took, like this woman is from this section of the city, she painted her over here, and painting them all over. So we're still very much in that process as well, and this is also a thing that will take us time, because we don't want to just like rush something that's so significant. So our conversations about the dance section are we decided recently that it doesn't need to be necessarily about specific women from different parts, but maybe more like finding about 5 different styles of dance that maybe you wouldn't see together, and I know that's done a lot, but our ideas are that we maybe take start with one dancer from those companies or different movement styles in Rochester, and start with those 5 women or young ladies and kind of let them be the leader in that, and then we'll see if it develops to, their group coming and overlapping, but right now she's working on a couple different venues that I won't say because I don't know her process, but like where we would hope to just show first a piece that just overall shows our connection of the 5 points of women. And then we'd really like to do like an on-site like a performance on site, maybe at one place, because they're a little bit far to have like an audience follow around. So that would be kind of an outside, like we're talking about having ballet be one of those so that our students would still be connected to that. But it would connect us and collaborate with other schools, which we love. We don't want to be just in our little bubble. We want to collaborate and connect with dancers and artists in Rochester.
Well, that's lovely. A very organic process, both in the creation of the works and in who your collaborators might be.
Yeah.
That's lovely. And so, for women, who did she choose for this? Did she choose Susan B. Anthony, for instance? Or?
No, local women who are currently doing amazing things in Rochester.
Currently doing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, there's like, I don't have all of their names on hand right now, but like one woman who, she works with refugees, another woman who teaches yoga to women like out of prison, just helping, like they're all these empowering, strong, beautiful women that Sarah like extensively interviewed people. She went to the depths of things and wasn't like, I'm not just going to pick the first 5 that sound good. She really took time to find out their story and see what fit best. She has like a whole map with little pins everywhere, like she has put her time and energy into this, and she is the person that got me going in Rochester with dance. So that's why it's beautiful for me personally, because my first show was at her space, The Yards, in the public market, that she started.
Yes.
And so she's like that artist that outside of the dance world that she's a good friend. We can just sit and relax, or we can just be creative, and she knows like the elements that I might not even think of that are required for like a performance.
And that are inspiring, yes.
So that's very fascinating. I look forward to meeting her. And so
Yeah.
that sounds like a project that will have a long lifespan.
Yeah.
So if people wish to support the company, how do they find you? And are you accepting donations and that sort of thing?
Well, couldn't say no to that, but I mean, yes. I mean, yeah, we're online, you know,
Okay.
the rtdny.com, or .org, sorry, Facebook.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, if you just come on in, we welcome drop-ins for classes. You know,
Okay.
it's you know, you can just come in and try one or do for the month. But, you know, basically, if you want to get your kids enrolled or just tell your friends to come in and, you know, try it with you, we are open arms for anybody. I mean, most of the funding kind of comes from our shows and things like that, and tuition.
I see.
So, you know, we kind of, outside of that, we're just trying to day by day, just keep on trying to dance and, you know, and spread the love of dance.
Right.
Yeah. And we're not set up, and we don't plan to be set up as a non-for-profit. So donations are more at this point, like it would, you know, it's not like we're not promoting for donations, but we have a lot of support, people who, I would say, like, if people were interested in donating, that sometimes it's like in resources and time is what we really need, or maybe like to a specific project. That's where we're at right now. And but our website for sure is where we try to keep things up to date. And then, but I would say like just directly contacting us at calling us or emailing us, and that's my favorite way, is like face to face. Like, let's get that connection going on the phone or face to face, because I still believe that just that one-on-one personal is how you make that connection and how you sell the ticket, and
Yeah, sure.
you know, instead of just blasting things. So we do have, our email address is just a contact at rdtny.org.
People will find you there.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed when I looked at your website briefly was the word partnering comes up often enough, and that's when you talk to dancers, it's all about partnering, and you know, that's fascinating. Does that inform your process in general? And
Well, yes, definitely. I mean, you know, we try even to tell the dancers, you know, you need to work as a team anyways. But, you know, I mean, from many aspects, just from what we need to do to even, you know, exposing them to, as a dancer, if you want to go audition and, you know, and things like that, that you're going to be dancing with somebody else, you know, and to kind of, you know, work with their ideas and, you know, letting them grow and create together. A lot of the times we'll even let them like go off into groups and do their own little, you know, creative improv stuff, and, you know, weight transfers and things like that. You know, it's all uncharted territory for some people.
True.
You know, so for them to explore, you know.
It used to be the corps de ballet. I mean, it was about ensemble.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so let's speak about music now. Are you using recorded music or live musicians, or what's your aspiration there?
Well, we use a lot of recorded, but like with Tom, that would be live. Although he records it, it's still original or live. In the past, I've worked more with live music, and that will be a goal for the future.
That
Like,
was a goal
it's
for the
just
future.
beautiful, and you know, it's more. It brings more life. And if we did like an on-site production or performance installation, then usually live music, because it's harder to bring giant speakers, which we've done also. Yeah.
Now, teaching dance is pretty necessarily hands-on experience. Now, how does a choreographer go about recording what they do and remembering from time to time what to teach next? Do you write it down? What's the process?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. In the past, I've written it down, but now with technology, it's a little easier. We've been taking videos. But I mean, we kind of, you know, just have to get together and, you know, close everything out, and you just play the music over and over and just kind of move and, you know, bounce ideas off of each other. I mean, you know, sometimes it happens by yourself, and sometimes you need somebody to, you know, feed off of their energy and to get you inspired. So, so I mean, yeah, it's kind of day by day, and we do need help remembering some stuff.
Right.
But, you know, once you kind of just get into the rehearsals, then it just becomes like second nature. So after that, it's about more of the perfection aspect and, you know, fine-tuning things, which kind of gets addicting too. But yeah, the creative process, we kind of wanted to let it happen, you know? We don't worry about, you know, are they doing a million flattes, or are their extensions perfect? You know, we don't have enough kicks in this dance. It's more, does it fit with the music? Does it fit with what we're trying to convey for the piece, the theme of everything? You know, so we try and kind of work with guidelines, but yet still be free, if that makes sense.
So it's not like 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is the next sequence and the next sequence.
Sometimes, but it's the way that we create sometimes is like they'll learn this chunk and that chunk, and then later piece them together instead of like from beginning to end. It depends. Like that happens too. Some of the like behind the scenes weird things that I do when I'm choreographing is like I'll have, not weird, but I have a note card with everybody's name on it, because we have like 35, 40 people, and if you have a dance with 25 of them, I move all the cards around, and I'm like, okay, well, if they came from there, and then they have to go over there, and then I'll move them around, and then I'll take another card and write down where they have to move to. So there's still the writing in recording things, and then there is the video, but also you have to remember.
Oh, sure.
You have to practice and remember, and I've found, and somehow I think that's something I learned, is you have to be able to just put that in your body and keep it in.
I'm sure we're going to remember a lot about Rochester Dance Theater. So thank you so much for being my guest today in the Spotlight. Erika Ruegemer is the founder and the director of Rochester Dance Theater, and Stephanie Kovac is an instructor and rehearsal director there. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.